Good morning, everybody. Whoa, we got a stacked Union Roundtable here. Of course, guys, if you know the press box, you know this man. He runs it. He's the Godfather. Everyone who enters the press box kisses his ring before he tells them where they sit. He runs the whole kit and caboodle. My man, Mike Barrera. What's going on, Mikey?
Man, you gotta be like my official hype man at this point. You and Jose just hype me up a lot more than need to. I appreciate it though. It's nice being here. I appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, absolutely. Look, we love having you guys in the house, and of course, my good buddy. He runs. You talk about running the press box. There's not a second. That second row doesn't. Who doesn't know J.D. Walker? Because my man J.D. Walker. You want to talk about a man who's a man, myth, and legend up in that press box. There's no better than my man J.D. Walker. What's up, J.D.?
Thanks for having me, Pat.
Oh man, look, I'm excited. This is we are doing a Union Roundtable here. The playoffs start today. The Union playoffs start today. We don't have no more Phillies postseason. That's out the window now. But we do have a Union playoffs going on today. And, of course, our man Austin. Austin, what's up, buddy?
Oh, I see you get the second-handed introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was not as hyped up.
No.
Hype me up, man. It's game day.
It is game day. But a lot of fans out there are not feeling a little hype after last weekend's debacle up in New England. So, I'll start with you, Austin. What happened last week?
Basically just trying not to fall out of the top four is what happened. You could tell from exactly how they played. They were trying to limit the damage that New England happened to deal, and that's exactly what happened. It was so rough. It was so rough because I was sitting there screaming at my screen the entire time, like, "Would please just play? Like, actually, like, give offense right now because we need it." And I was thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. Valerie checking in. She's going, "Doop." She's all unioned up today. Thanks, Valerie, for checking in. Yeah, Mike, and I got to ask you the same question. What happened last week? Being you, Austin, we talked about this. It's a New England team that looks like they're packing it in, and then they got punched in the mouth last week up in New England. So, Mike, I got to ask you, what happened last week?
I feel like it was the season in a nutshell, right? Like you had to win a game to try to keep yourself in the right spot in the standings, or just have a good feeling on the season, and you fall flat. And you blow another lead. It was just one thing after another that kind of summarized the entire year, which I think is the reason why people feel so down this year. There's never been a good consistent run from this team. It's just been kind of up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that game in a nutshell. So the vibe in Philly right now is not too hot.
No, not at all. So we got our man Kyle checking in. What's up, Kyle? He goes, Union going to need some goals. That loss after a series, a really, really rough draws. Yeah, listen, there ain't going to be no draws today. This is win or lose. So, JT, I got to ask you the same thing, buddy. Union, kind of people are questioning if they can even make a deep run. How do you feel?
I'm not the most confident. I mean, it is a new season, but they've clearly been gassed for several months with just the amount of games. They're up to 45, 50, 100 games this season at this point between all of between MLS and Leagues Cup and Champions League, and they've been playing for about 2 months now. Like they're just wiped out.
Yeah, they do. They look like they're wiped out, and I know us as Union fans, we are definitely not seeing the Union team that we saw from last year, where they were putting away teams, so forth. And JD, just like you just said, it's a whole new clean sheet. It is the playoff start today, but yeah, the problem we're going to have though is what Union team is going to show up today. And I get it; they've been lingering. We have all had the interview, the privilege of interviewing with Bedoya, and him saying that the schedule of playing twice a week and the injuries have kind of stacked up against this team. But you can't use that excuse no more. You have to find ways to win. And listen, Jim Curran has to fall on the sword for this, but he's got to find you get creative with his playbook. He needs to find a way to win, and that's like I said, this team needs to get things going. Especially if I'm a Union, like I want to see the Union get on the scoreboard first. Like get on the scoreboard first, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree, especially when you look at the way this team has played over, especially just since Labor Day. Like the main thing that we've been talking about for the past forever is just how they the I guess you'd say the sheer flatness that they've been able to that they've managed to come out with in this last round of matches before the season ended. You know, looking at the last 5 for both teams, Philadelphia being 1 win, 3 draws, and a loss. New England having 2 wins, no draws, 3 losses, so they're kind of reeling a little bit. But this is especially with what New England's done during the season. Transferring Petrovic, seeing their backup goalkeeping options sort of step up a little bit. Especially in the Philadelphia game, they got some really key saves. And then you look at how Bo and Gill both played in the response to everything that happened with that, with Bruce Reyna leaving, with the new coach coming in. So I feel like they got a quick fresh breath of life into them after Reyna left.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they probably got back onto a better foot. And like JD was saying, with all the matches that we've had to play this year, we've just are not only physically exhausted, but it seems like we're pretty mentally exhausted too.
Yeah, and so that like I said, questions how deep can this team go? My man Jose goes, my man Pat from Ambler. Thanks, Jose, for checking in his show.
No drinking coffee through straws today, Jose.
You know what? I'm going to deal with this clown in a minute. That's my guy, but poor Mike. He's got to carry that dead weight. No. Here goes Valerie. She goes, everyone's worn out, players and fans alike.
Yeah.
Well, the fans in particular, because we just got done the Phillies heartbreak. Like,
yeah.
If the Phillies were in the World Series right now, it would be very much like last year, like good vibes. Everybody just kind of beat. If the Eagles didn't win against Miami, the whole city would just be crumbling.
There would be some welfare checks being made if the Eagles lost, because people would be. Because I literally spent 2 days after the Phillies lost in just a mental fog.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, well, shit. What do we do now? Oh yeah, that's right. The Union are in the playoffs, but I wasn't as hyped for it initially. And now that we're at game day, the vibe is finally there.
Yep.
I feel like having that time off sort of helped me sort of like recheck myself mentally, I guess you could say, to sort of get myself back into the mode of like, okay, it's time now. Because like I separated myself from soccer for that brief time, and I was like, all right, back in it, let's go. And so now I'm just ready for it again.
I hate to say this too. I don't know if you guys saw the Bernard Hopkins like hype video that Union put out. I usually love the hype videos. I didn't like it that much.
Yeah,
they're that one.
It was 2 minutes. I was like, is it almost done? Like,
I really felt like the energy wasn't really there with it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely. So no Jose, no straws and coffee.
Should I say unfortunately or should I say fortunately?
Valerie checking in again. She goes, worn out. Then MLS Apple throws the stupid new playoff format at us. Yeah, listen, and a couple of weeks ago on our podcast, we said, me, Gus, and Austin discussed, if you are going to be the champion of this, whoever walks out champion does you no favors for next year, because you are going to be worn out because you only got 6 weeks to get yourself whipped back in shape.
You raise that cup, get to celebrate for like a week and a half, then it's right back to the board.
This season is too freaking long.
Yeah.
And the more games that they put in on this insane 3-game playoff format. While I admit I'm relatively new to soccer and MLS, as a fan, why doesn't 2-leg aggregate work?
I don't know. It worked. It worked for a while, and then they decided to change it.
Right, but MLS changes the playoff format every other year.
Yeah.
Last year we had one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best playoff formats and one of the best results. I'm not saying it just because the Union went to the MLS Cup, but just you had the 2 best teams through the course of the season met in the championship, and that's how it should. I mean, yes, a little bit of variety is good, but we just had the best playoffs and best championship ever. So what are we going to do? Completely scrap it and do this all over again? And MLS has always been their own worst enemy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kyle checking in again. He goes, they seem to just to make to pass the ball instead of taking a decent shot. Ball comes to a striker, clean opening, and to the net, to the opener. And again, no one's making the shot; they're just passing the ball. It's a fun because it's a first mentally worn cutout. Yeah, listen, cut it. And I agree, Kyle. Like they need to start taking shots. And that was one of the problems I had, coming through this tail end of this tail end of the season, is that they weren't taking their shots, that they were just kind of pass. I don't think they had that guy who can find the back of the net, that consistent shooter. I mean, if Carranza's on, he's on, but I saw wide open missed opportunities. I love Bedoya. He gets involved. He plays as hard as he can. But that's another thing that's has kept a lot of butts around here, is that guy's got a lot of playing time when you should be going to younger legs.
No, you want to talk about getting chapped about something. The fact that the fact that they're treating Bedoya the way they are, with how they told him that he wasn't going to be part of the team's plan for next year, is still something that gets under my skin incessantly. And I had a whole rant about it the last time that we did the show, and if I do it again, it's just going to be a broken record. So
you guys have been crapping on him the whole season. It's more so Gus.
Yeah.
But just
yes.
how much you can't stand him.
Yes.
Everybody's been saying, Bedoya's done, he's washed, and then this happens, and now all of a sudden everybody loves him.
Yeah, like
it was bad of the front office to handle that the way that they did with the supposed 20-second conversation, according to The Athletic. There's a way to do that, and just it's it looks bad for the organization to be the MLS equivalent of Moneyball, is how I've described this team, where while, yes, we need the union need to do what they need to do because they're not backed by oil money or expensive piss with bubbles in a can that is somehow even more overpriced than that oil backing up the team. The union are independently owned, so we need to do things differently. Moneyball, bringing players up for the academy. But much like the Oakland A's, that only gets you to a point. You need these other players to step up, and you need the players that are in the designated player spots to perform up to their abilities. Yeah. Which this season, at least, we have not necessarily seen that across the board. I think that the main reason for that is the fatigue from this insane amount of games. I'm curious to see what MLS does, if anything, next year, how they scrap the playoff format again. I read something yesterday that LAFC has been in the league for 6 years. This is the third different playoff format in those 6 years that they played it.
Yeah,
it takes something and stick to it. Now, I understand that our fruit-based financial overlords call the shots, but with MLS really needs to figure something out and find a happy medium. We'll see how this goes, but the teams that do survive this 3-game first-round playoff series, at least there's another international break in there too. Because also got to remember this insane schedule where the Union are playing game 1, game 2, 12 days later,
11
days later, and then game 3 right after that. In the reverse order that you see in the rest of the world, where if they're going to do this 3-game series, it should be away, home, just like in a 2-leg aggregate where you want that second game at home. I'd like to see them try that next year, or just go back to 2-leg aggregate.
It's just like it's like they're trying to put baseball into the MLS. Like you had the playing around, and you had the best of 3, like kind of like the division series, like the best of 5, right? For baseball,
crap in baseball, and it's crap. And
we're
not confident here.
You and I
want to say it's garbage before we even seen it, but just I don't see how this is going to work.
And like you and I are college basketball fans, so the play of the first 4 for the March Madness tournament, right, is like kind of getting people into the mood of NCAA, and then you got the round of 64. I would have been okay if they had the playing around this year for the MLS. So just you had the Red Bull, and you had Charlotte, right?
Yeah, Red Bull and Charlotte,
and then there's
KC and
San Jose. I would have been fine. Okay, that's kind of like a teaser. Now you have 8 on each conference, and then that's fine. And if it was single elimination after that, I would have been okay with that. But it just feels so drawn out. It's like the NBA. Like I was talking on Across the Pitch on our show.
Absolutely.
NBA rounds take like 2.5 weeks. I'm like, just get it over with. There's no reason there should be a 4-day break between game 1 and game 2.
I agree. I like the one and duns. Like, that was perfect last year, and plus it makes that more exciting. Like, you're like, and to bother the players more, like you're playing in the cold. You're heading into the winter. I mean, I get it. You open around late February, but still, I mean, just wrap it up. Just wrap it up in full time because it could snow and all that. You got to take all those other things into it.
I mean, personally, for me, I love the tension that's built around a 2-leg aggregate.
Yeah.
Just the tension of like, oh no, like you were down 1 coming back home. Now you have to score 2 to count that 1 to even it back up. It's the pressure, the drama of it all. I really loved that.
Look at Champions League. It's
Yeah,
fine.
Champions League was fantastic.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Champions League was amazing last season.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it to get further in this season. It's already been good so far.
You're right. So here goes a couple more comments. Kyle checking. He goes, remember last winter through when it came to Philly teams and title matches? Yeah, Philly teams and title matches.
I don't want to remember that.
No, not at all.
My heart already hurts from what we've already had to experience. I don't need to bring up past heartbreak.
Right. He says you can't take anything for granted. Valerie checking in. She goes, hype video trying too hard. My man Jose goes, with the hype video, I was pissed about putting a boxing ring on the grass. And then he checks in again. He goes, I got to get that Apple game stocked up. Maybe a contractual
only listed as quote unquote playoff.
Yeah. And then of course we have CTH checking in and says we need a new owner. Thanks, CTH. I'm not even going to say that name. But thanks for checking in, CTH. And then Kyle checking goes, with how good the teams that have been in the past few seasons, it's a tragedy when they aren't able to get any good goal out of it. Yeah, listen, and that's what kind of JD kind of brought up. That's the bad part. Like, we are setting ourselves up to be the Oakland A's, for other teams to take part of. Like, look at Kai Wagner. Exhibit A, the minute this season's over, he's going somewhere. And whether that be Cincinnati, whether that be somewhere, a contender, he's out of here. And it sucks because, again, if ownership ain't going to pay the man, he's going to want out.
But also at the numbers that it sounds like Wagner's asking for are just not tenable in MLS. So I saw some rumors online about Premier League, which that would be fantastic for Kai if it works out like that, but it's a loss for the Union either way.
Yeah.
And maybe, we're already we're a few minutes into this. We're already just resigned to the fact of like, okay, no championship this year. We're already talking about off season and next season stuff. And the hype video trying too hard. Yeah, just the whole fan base is just like, all right, let's try, but I don't know where we're going here.
I feel like it's become the resignation of the fact that it's probably not going to look good next year with a key piece like Kai Wagner. I can't even say more than likely anymore because it's gonna happen now. Him leaving when this quote unquote free agency period hits after the season ends. So it's just, I feel like we're sort of resigned to the fact that like we may not be as good as we have been the past couple of years coming into next season.
I mean, that falls on Curtin though, in terms of like
it falls on Ernst.
And it does that too. But in terms of the biggest challenge that Curtin will have had so far, it'll be next year. If Kai's not here and Tanner's not going to improve the team at all, because he really didn't this year, then the team got a lot worse. Then it's going to go to Curtin and say, okay, this is the roster I have. What can I do to milk the most out of this roster as I possibly can? Which he's done well so far in his time, but now it's clear that you're losing a significant piece. But even just in terms of like paying players, you let Corey Burke go. He wasn't that expensive. You could have brought him back this season. He would have made a bigger impact than Roger Torres, or not Roger Torres. What's his name?
Joaquin Torres.
Joaquin Torres, yeah.
Who had one good game. Everybody thought he was the next coming, and then
he had one good 30 seconds. And then
that one goal was fantastic.
That was about
Hasn't been heard from since.
Yeah, that quick 2-touch spin move in the home opener.
Yeah, that was great.
Almost brought the house down.
Yeah. It was the 2 highlights that he got in like a 15-day span, and then he just became a ghost.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kyle checking again is not tenable. Sadly, with the money that have been given a grade of superstars to come to the MLS, he is well within his right to shoot for more money. I get it.
He is well within any player. I don't begrudge players for going out and getting the money they can get while they get it. Absolutely, go get it. But with the MLS salary cap set up the way that it is, unless you have the money to go around and just blow insane amounts of cash on designated players, where I saw. I don't know if you guys saw the chart from the Athletic of all of the salaries broken down, where Messi by himself is making more than all but I think 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
But
ridiculous.
also
Wow.
4 of the top 5 payroll teams didn't make the playoffs. So money is not everything. But at the same time, the players have, just like anybody else, trying to go where they're appreciated and where they can maximize. Like anybody else looking for a new job, where they can be paid a fair rate. But also, I see it from the team standpoint, where as much as we love Kai, and Kai will be a success wherever he goes, left back is one of the it is easier to replace a left back. Even though he is the best left back in the league, from a financial standpoint, it's easier to replace a left back than it is a striker.
Right.
Yeah.
Strikers cost money, which, from the looks of things, the Union do not have.
Oh, wow.
Or want to spend.
Yeah, or if they have it, they want to spend it.
Yeah.
They pocket that selling all the Aronson cash.
Right. Here goes our man Kyle goes, the student money given to a great international superstars is a bit slap in the face. For the players that have been here for a little bit, it's damnness. Yeah, and I kind of agree. Here goes Valerie. Did you notice that they had the 30-second of Torres was in the hype video? I rolled my eyes at that part.
I honestly had totally glossed over the fact that they had that in there. And the second I saw that comment, I was like, "Oh my god, that's right! They did put that in there." Like it was like they did it like it was like something that he did consistently throughout the year.
He had one shining moment. That
Yeah.
was it.
Oh, and I just got a text from the voice of Philadelphia Union, our man Dave Leno, saying, "Have a great show, fellas." Nice, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it.
Yes. But yeah, like I say, going back to this matchup, real fast though, before I go any further, I need to get into these great sponsors here at Edge of Philly Sports. And one of them for sure is the Philadelphia Sports Trips. Guys, if you guys are heading down to the game tomorrow, make sure you link up with Philadelphia Sports Trips. Tell my man Vinny that EOP sent you. Again, great times, good stuff. Last year I'm hearing the food was great, the party was going, everything. And of course, you guys haven't made a plan yet. We'll go Philadelphia Sports Trips and go on that Union trip that's coming up.
Yeah.
Back up to Gillette Stadium, November 8th and November 9th.
And they also recently announced with the success that they had from the trip to London and Leeds, they're going to be doing one to go to Germany to watch the Aronsons play each other.
Ooh,
nice. I don't know the exact date on it, but it is on their website. So go to phillysportstrips.com and make sure you check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
dude, that London and Leeds one was so cool. Like, you went to I want to say it was either, I think it was Stamford Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You got to tour the facility there. Watch the Union NYC FC match in an English pub, and then the last day of the whole thing, you went to Leeds to watch Leeds United play.
That's pretty cool.
Nice.
Dude, so sick.
So let me ask you guys today, looking back from last Saturday's matchup, who is the guy from New England that we need to keep our eyes on? JD, I'll go with you. Who do you kind of fear going against today?
Well, Gustavo Bou dropped 2 goals last week. So, and Gil is the setup. Those two are where they need to focus. And I'm not really sure what to expect from Jackson, the goalie, which it was his 3rd game in MLS, and now now these teams are facing each other 2 or 3 more times. I'm out of the playoff results as far as opponents. New England was arguably the best matchup that I saw a lot of people saying.
Agreed.
But I'm always nervous when you play a team too many times in a row.
Yeah.
But
Have we played the Revs too many times before? I don't know if has it happened to the Union?
Well, we played the Red Bulls. We played the Red Bulls 6 times this year so far.
I know, right?
So
yeah.
Well, especially when you think the year that we won Supporter Shield, we played New England final game of the year, won Supporter Shield, played them in the first round of the playoffs, and they bounced us.
Yeah, that's
So
why I'm wearing the shirt in honor of that season, just because I had to. It felt like the right vibe. No, listen, I agree with you 100%. You don't when you have a keeper that young, just gotta test the hell out of them. You really do. And I think when we were talking on our show on Monday, I think one of the comments had said, like, you have to make him work for something, especially in Philly. You really have to because, like you said, third game right in his career in MLS. Make him feel like it is. Don't make him feel like he's a veteran out there.
All right. Well, we got a good weather day, insanely warm for late October.
It's beautiful out.
But
Yes.
this will be a fantastic environment. So Subaru Park is going to be hopping. So let's make it hurt for Jackson in game number 4 of his career. Show him Subaru Park beast mode. Let's.
I like it, JD.
Yeah.
JD, you should do a hype video. That was better than the Bernard Hopkins thing. I'm ready to go.
Yes.
I'm about to run through a wall for JD.
Yes.
Consider this your new official hype video.
Love it.
So, Austin, what matchups are you looking at on the field today?
I mean, aside from the obvious 3 that JD just mentioned, Gustavo Bo, Carlos Gil, Jacob Jackson, also Bobby Wood is another guy that you really want to look out for. Had 7 goals on the year. Had a couple of really good touches in the attack against Philadelphia at the end of the season. So he's definitely going to get looks the second they try and lock down on Gil or Bo, whoever is the free run, and they'll be trying to feed those guys their top scorers as often as possible. So you really do need the back line to really hold out.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And Kyle is our photographer with Stream Punk Sports.
Oh, nice.
So he's been getting the photos with us. So check us out at streampunkent.com is where my writing and Kyle's photos go up. And Stream Punk Soccer on YouTube. Had to get that plug in.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Stream Punk Sports and Stream Punk Soccer. We have two sports channels.
Love it.
3.
There you go. So, Mike, I got to ask you the same thing. So what can we expect out of this Jim Curtin playbook today? What can we expect? Is he going to throw something we haven't seen before?
Oh God, I hope not. That's the thing with
stop changing the lineups every damn game.
The thing with Curtin is that when he gets too creative, it usually does not work out great. At least in my opinion. I think back on the Atlanta match from earlier this season when you had was a Harry on the left and Flock was on. It just was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to stick to what's worked for the Union so far. From a player standpoint, I feel like Martinez is crucial because when he's on his game, I mean, he's the best player on the field from both sides. He really can be. And you need him to just have the game of his life just to set the tone for this series. That's what it is. It's not even so much winning the game. If you win the game or if it goes to PKs and you just get by, you're not going to feel confident going to New England.
Definitely not.
You want to go and beat the shit out of this team and really go back. Say, now you guys can sit for the next 11 days and think about how we beat the crap out of you. And we're going to do it again in Foxborough. So that's the mentality they have to have. I've been calling for them to have this mentality all season. It has not happened. Do I expect it to happen now? No, I don't. But that's the optimism I'm going to have. Is that I hope they do because it's there.
Another thing to be optimistic, which Jim touched on in the pregame press conference yesterday, was that the guys that have been banged up are coming back. Yeah. We have Martinez coming back. There's Bueno is healthy, and Glesnes is kind of day to day with that sports hernia, as he always is. But so probably he'll be playing, but not 100%. But he hasn't. Heck, the whole team hasn't been 100% for months. But just stick with a diamond. Don't get cute. Put El Brujo in the middle and just have him shadowing Gustavo Bo for a good portion of that game. If you need some extra toughness, bring Lowe in and really mess things up. I like the job that Damian Lowe did with Hani Mukhtar. Mm-hmm. Being able to hold him down while, yes, that was a scoreless draw, which we had 4 scoreless draws. The Union had 4 scoreless draws this season. And at least 4 at Subaru Park. 4 at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them was against a reeling Sporting Kansas City side.
Pulling a Rob Thompson, changing things up every game. Yeah. It sometimes feels like that, where it's just where it's like a dartboard with certain lineups to try. And the points where there shouldn't be too many experiments, but just let's go back to basics. Go to what works. Just go with a normal diamond lineup.
And I feel like the back 3, when you've had that, or back 5, however you want to call it, has had its bright spots this season. Lowe has
It
had his
absolutely
bright
has.
spots this season, and he's also had some really bad moments. And I think that's one thing that with Lowe I'm concerned about. Yeah, he's definitely. I feel a little bit more confident than I did maybe probably around like Leagues Cup time with Lowe, but I think I agree with you. I think you just go back to. I think the team will feel comfortable going back to what they've known for so long. Let's just do it again. It's a new season, like you said. They are healthy. That's the first time in a long time this team has been healthy. I can't remember the last time that nobody's been out.
Not since before Leagues Cup.
Yeah, I mean, think just even Flock alone, he's been dealing with stuff all
Yeah,
season too.
yeah.
It's been nonsense. Just from a morale standpoint, that's huge in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Mike, I got to ask you the question. Something that bothers you and I in that press box, something about this team. Will Jim and the rest of the Philadelphia Union come out of that second half? Are they going to have the foot to the throttle? Are they going to take it off? Are they going to fall asleep at the wheel? What's going to happen? Because that's what the majority of their problems come from is when they start that second half. They tend to fall asleep a little bit, and they let some of these bad teams hang around. We've noticed in this, the Cincinnati matchup, and there's been a couple of games.
Look at the Querétaro match, the second one. We should have
Yep.
beat them handily, and we just let them hang around. I feel like Doc Rivers and Brett Brown go into the locker room and just talk to the team, and that's why they just always blow leads and have poor second half performances because it's like some sort of switch goes off in their head and they can't.
Defense. There's always defensive miscues.
Yeah.
And
A lot of the goals aren't even Dre's fault.
And that's not new though. That's been around for a couple of years. These little moments of miscues. It's happened before. This season, I feel like it's just been highlighted. Go ahead.
Between the defensive miscues and the fact that it feels like there's at least one goal every single freaking game called like, okay, we have a goal. Nope, offsides.
Yeah.
Carranza's offsides every time. It
Mhm.
seems like, and just I don't even know how. I think you guys went over, Mike. You went over on your show where somebody said that it went from 1.9 offside the game to 2.6, which may not sound like a lot, but that's still what, a 40% jump.
Yeah,
That's-
it's still
so it is
one
noticeable.
more scoring opportunity.
I don't
per
even.
game.
It got to a point where I barely even have any excitement after goals because I'm looking for the flag now
Mhm.
every time.
Yeah, I
So
honestly,
if half of those goals, see, that's the biggest difference this season, is that those last season, those were goals.
Yeah.
Those were good goals, and they stayed on. Now they're, because somebody is a step off sides, that goal gets taken away, and feels like there's one or two every game.
At least.
So if they got just half of those, we'd be having a much different conversation around this team. But that doesn't mean that, while we might be talking a little down, we are still there. It is New England. There's familiarity there. There is still a good chance. And I would rather be playing New England than, say, Columbus right
yeah,
now.
I agree.
Yeah.
Atlanta could go either way. Thiago Almada, I believe, has a red card suspension, so he won't be
Mhm.
available for game one
Yep.
of their match. But for the Union, this is that while nothing really feels safe, let's say, or like, oh, we got this. I'm less confident than I would have been last season about it, but
Yeah.
still feel pretty good for them to make it through the first round. After that, I don't know, but but for any of the teams that make it through the first round, they'll be so wiped out.
Mhm.
Going down the stretch into the semis and finals. We'll see how the product looks like, because it hasn't looked that great throughout MLS for a bit. But the Union in any team can really make waves in this new playoff format, as insane as it is.
Well, just on the objective standpoint, I know that we're Union fans, but from an objective soccer standpoint, I kind of feel bad for the Red Bull. The reason why is because they ended the season really strong. They'd won a lot of games before they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And now they have to go into this 3-game series against Cincinnati. And I feel like that just is such a disadvantage for them because if you just had a single elimination against Cincinnati, you would have had that momentum coming from the end of the season. Like, oh, we're ready to go. Now you have to go through this slog of 2 weeks. It kind of kills it for those teams that get into the playoffs on a roll. Now they kind of have to shut everything down, especially they lose the first leg, the 1st game of that series is like, oh, we got to wait 2 weeks and try to get this, and then they're going to have the same excuse as the Braves too, and all these
Yeah.
other teams. But I mean, Austin? What do you think for the Cincinnati Red Bull match? Because that would be their next opponents if we make it through this round.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would be just like you said, coming off of the momentum that they had at the end of the season, going into even the format last year was just a one and done playoff format. It would have been a huge advantage for them. But now, like you said, having that layover between the first match and the second one in the 3-game set, it's going to be a lot of trying to maintain that energy and trying to keep it in the training leading up to it, and then it's literally just hoping that momentum carries, and especially like with what is it, a 12-day difference between the two or something like that.
Yeah, some weird.
It's too long a period to have to carry that kind of momentum if you come up with a win in match one.
Yeah,
Cincinnati also beat Red Bull in the first round of the playoffs last year, if you recall, in the 4-5 match.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And
wasn't Red Bull? They were, I think, second or third to last. Like they were just ahead of Miami, in at the bottom of the table early on in the season. Then they fired their coach, and they've been getting a little better ever since, and were able to scrape their way into the playoffs. Which also, if anybody, I personally got a kick out of the irony of NYCFC turned out to help Red Bull by beating Chicago in their game.
Yeah, like I said though, it's going to be fun. Again, the Philadelphia Union get things kicked off at 5:00. It's Union, New England Revolution. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just hope, like you guys are saying, I just hope this is, like you said, clean slate. Everyone's healthy. I just need to see the playmaking. I need to see the playmaking that I saw in the summertime from Carranza and Gazdag. I mean, the only time I see Gazdag contributing is only through penalty kicks.
Yeah.
And I need more from that. I can't, and I need some other guys stepping up. Like, Wagner, he's pretty good on that 2-piece. He kind of, he quarterbacks it. Holds the right, who to go where, all that stuff. I need to see some legs getting busy out there. I don't know who else you could really rely on. Of course, we all look at Ua. Ua needs to really step up here. This is a situation for him to make a name for himself, and he needs to get things rolling as well. Here goes our man Kyle again. He goes, I know the games I've covered were all draws. Union absolutely had their chances to better off their playoff spot. And that was the thing you and I have talked about, Austin.
They had, 8 straight draws? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing, me and Austin here kind of debated about was who would you want to face in the first round? And New England was the one I've kind of circled on. Like the one team I didn't want to see was ATL. But, with Almada being out for, suspension, that gives the opponent that helps them out tremendously. That kind of, if you take game one, you kind of already put the team on the ropes. Here goes our man.
It just means the only job that you really have to worry about, the only person you have to worry about marking up pretty heavily because of their exceptional play is Yakumakis. So,
right, here goes our man Kyle checking in again. He goes, when you start to play defensively, the ball closer to your own net, you flub to the ball. It puts the opponents to the better. Yeah, right, to a better spot to a counter.
The Union have always been a defensive first squad.
Yeah. For me, I feel like, so let's say, I think I agree with you. We should go with the diamond. In that regard, who do you have at right back? Do you have Olivier or do you have Harriel? Because for me personally, I feel like Harriel's come on as the season progressed. He's also a visible threat off set pieces. We've seen him jump about 12 feet in the air. The guy should have a career in the NBA after this because his vertical is insane.
Yeah.
I feel like Olivier's had such a lackluster season, especially from his cross. I said on my show, I was like, I can't remember last time Olivier's had a good game. And just good
He's
crosses.
He's barely even been playing.
He that's
just
true
disappeared
too.
The past few months. I don't know if it's an issue where I don't know. We don't see what goes on in training.
No, of course not. But
so I don't know if it's just where you're barely even seen Mabaizo.
And if you're gonna have, I'm assuming Bedoya is gonna start on the right side of that diamond. So it's gonna be Bedoya and Harriel together. They have to be on point with their passing, with their just everything has to be, because you can't have it so predictable that everything's going to go through Kai on the left. You have to have the right side be a threat from the beginning to end, and then you can't have Bedoya out there for more than 70 minutes. Bring in Bueno. Let Bueno and Brujo switch back and forth, go and use their versatility and their playmaking on that right side, because we've seen it before.
Bedoya, I think, is at this point has the last 2 months produced better coming off the bench.
Oh, 100%. He's better in small intervals for sure.
I know he's the captain, so they want to start him, especially after all the garbage the past few weeks,
And potentially his last home game. Knock on wood. Hopefully, no foreshadowing.
Right, but we just the Union with these lineups where Bedoya. There was 2 games in a row where Bedoya scored coming off the bench in the 70th minute.
Yeah.
So that is, although that's hypothetical at this point because we know he probably will be starting.
Yeah.
McGlynn has also been inconsistent from game to game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things do need to open up the field a little more.
Yeah.
And opposing defenses are keying in on Kai because it always goes through the left side, and the right side has kind of been dead space.
Yeah.
Recently, but I think that they're absolutely capable of changing that up.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we'll see what happens. Like I'm curious to know, like what's going to be the Jim. After getting punched in the mouth by this New England team, what's going to be Jim Curtin's scheme? Like, what's going to be the difference? It's going to kind of clean the sheet. You know what? We're going to kind of figure things out here.
I'm not too sure what the scheme's going to be, but I know that one of the main key points that he's probably going to bring up I would hope be getting better on the finish, because that was where we were lacking for a good while, and it's been a reoccurring theme throughout the season. Is some games will be on and score 3 or 4, and then follow it up with putting up nothing. So you really need to find consistently, especially now in the playoffs, you need to find consistency in the finish, because without that, you're not going to go anywhere.
No, for sure. Kyle goes, the only thing we got going for us is we have a better fan base. Yeah, but to counterpunch that there, Kyle, if this team reacts like that Diamondbacks team where they kind of just mute the fan base, the Union could be in trouble. If they don't let the Sons of Ben get into their ears and all that stuff, yeah, this team could be in trouble. So,
what happened in the Phillies games where just they went down early in game 6 and 7 and just took the crowd completely out.
And listen, the tickets are
completely out.
The place isn't sold out, by the way. You can still get tickets to this game. And that was one of the issues all week. Like, Jared from the Sons of Ben, he always posts like ticket watch. Yeah. He's like, they're still available for dirt cheap. If you go on SeatGeek, there's like tickets, that would have been $40-$50 for like $15.
That sounds like a segue, Pat.
Wow.
That's what I do. That's what I bring to the table here, guys.
Because if you are looking to get tickets for the game at 5 o'clock, go to sherrystickets.com. Use the promo code EOP10, get 10% off. There's no hidden fees with anything on their site. What you see is the price you pay for sports, concert, and theater. Sherry's Tickets have been owned and operated since 1946, so go over to sherrystickets.com.
Yeah. Like I said, it is going to be a clean sheet, but like I said, that's the only thing I see from this New England team. Like, I kind of feel like a benefit for the Union. All right, listen, we just got punched in the mouth, this past weekend. Let's rev it up. We're at home. There should be no excuses for us to lose. There should be none. You had to take game 1 right here tonight. You had to find out how do you, like you said, Mike. We know Bedoya is going to be out there. We don't know how much time. We all, kind of on our show, we kind of talked about we want to see more Sullivan out there because of his speed and so forth. But the passes need to be crisp. But like I said, I don't know exactly where the scoring is going to come from. Great, they got a great defense. They got a terrific defense, but you need scoring going as well. And I don't know where you get that from.
It has to start with Daniel. I mean, they have to get Daniel involved. We've seen games where he just disappears, and that's not always his fault. Sometimes the players just aren't finding him, but he has to be like the point guard throughout the match. Give me the ball. Let me distribute, because we've seen it. What was that one recent game where they scored a bunch in the first half? I think it was against Atlanta. And you saw
Yeah,
the
they
top.
scored 3 goals and they went up 3-0 and by halftime, and then they still almost blew that game.
And that's exactly why I don't want to play Atlanta, because they can score 7 goals with their eyes closed. But you saw Daniel involved, and when he gets involved, Ua and Carranza play so much better. So he has to be just demanding the ball at times.
Opposing defenses have really been swarming Daniel more this year. He's just been getting smacked around, especially in Champions League. Which you practically need boxing gloves in Champions League and CONCACAF anyway. But just he was getting beat up the whole year. If you take away the penalty goals, Daniel's had what, like 2 goals this year that weren't off penalties.
Yeah.
So he hasn't been producing as much in the open field because defenses have adjusted. Same as they have with Wagner. But if they are capable of opening the game up like that Atlanta game, then absolutely we can. The scoring has been the biggest issue this year. Dre has looked human. He was inhuman last year. He was all everything, but Dre has come back to earth. But is still one of the better goaltenders in MLS. But the issue was more so the inconsistent defense in front of him.
Yeah, just about to ask you that. If the defense will be there today, they're going to have to play their butts off today. You got 2 big bodies out there. We know what they're capable of doing, and they're going to have to be on their A game to trying to. Because I noticed that too in a couple of games this year, where especially in the beginning part of the year, Dre was getting very, very frustrated with the defense in front of him. Like I heard him yelling at players and all those other things, and he has a right to do that. One is because he's the captain of the team, and 2, you have to play him. You got to protect your man out there. So if you get him a good defense in front of him, he'll take care of the rest. So. And I don't want to see this Union team on their heels to start this matchup. I want to see them start, pounding at that net, trying to, come up, get creative, all those other things.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the main things you want to try and make a key point for the defensive side of the game is you don't want to be that anomalous statistic where, because I was looking at it earlier this morning, 18% of New England's total win share is on the road.
Wow!
So you do not want to become you do not want to become one of those blips on the radar for them for some of their bigger wins, especially now with the playoffs coming. You do not want that to happen. You need that. The home field advantage is going to be big for this series especially because of the fact that if you think potentially drop the one in New England game 2, even it up at 1, you get to come back home with the chance to wrap it up. So having that advantage is going to be big for Philadelphia.
So if I
punch him in the mouth tonight and just
put their back against the wall as quickly as you can.
If I remember correctly, so if it goes 90 minutes, it goes right to PKs, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Just like they did with Champions League.
Right. So if you do the first
or Leagues Cup,
right? Yeah. If you win the first game handily, you really haven't been losing games lately. We've been having this unbeaten streak of a lot of draws. You gotta just hold them to just a draw. That's all you gotta do in New England. Just get the PKs, and then you can at least try to see. You have the better keeper. You do. You have the advantage there. You have Gazog, who's incredible at the spot. Even Jake Elliott is really good on the spot too, oddly enough. So you have the advantage with PKs. You just go on the road and you just gotta not play scared, not play to draw, but you can do it. You've done it for so long now. This past 2.5 months has been draws like crazy.
So if they can, but also the inherent randomness of PKs is a coin flip. It is a coin flip to begin with, especially on the road. Although Union fans clearly travel well to New England, because I didn't hear much of anything from New England fans watching that game on TV. You heard Union. You heard "Let's Go Union" chants, but I really did not hear much from the New England fans. I know that was partly because of the garbage weather, a cold, rainy, gross night in Foxborough. So yeah, that will hold down attendance a bit. It's definitely slightly concerning to hear that the game tonight isn't even sold out yet. But with fantastic weather, everybody's running away to the shore because they're sad about the Phillies. I don't know, but got to get out there tonight and get that home field advantage and just see what happens on the road for game 2.
Yeah, well, here goes our man Kyle checking in. He goes, before September, the Union had one of the best home percentages. They need to take game 1. I absolutely agree. They need to take game 1. It is a must. But as of late, playing at home though, Kyle, I mean, I feel like the Philadelphia Union. I mean, the opponents that come here, play tough, and that's it. And but like I said, there won't be no more draws. It will be a win or go home situation. And like I said, they'll become shootouts after that. And like JD kind of touched on, I kind of see a human side from Dre a little bit. Here goes Valerie checking. Goes no Union player in the MLS lined up except Bedoya for off the field excellence. Telling. Yeah.
Jim acknowledged that in the press conference this week as well.
Yeah.
While everybody had career years all at the same time last year, and you have kind of everybody took a step back a bit, but it's still very good, still good enough for a top 4 seed in the East for the 5th year in a row, which is the longest active streak in MLS. So also for the Union fans, the expectations have changed, which is reasonable for a team that has been playing progressively better as well as they have the past few years. But also, the sky is not falling that hard. We may feel like it is after what the Phillies did earlier this week, but this is not, and we're not as confident, but there's still hope here.
So one spin on this whole front office drama that I've been tinkering with in my mind was the fact that yes, as a cause of distraction, sure, but you've seen the players rally together around Bedoya. They've rallied around Kai. I think Jacob had posted on Instagram about Bedoya and the way he was treated by Tanner. So it's obvious this is the last run for Ali. This is the last run for Kai. And in a way, the players can use that and hopefully come together and mentally clear their heads of the season, because it has been a lot. It's been even myself as a fan, I'm tired.
Yeah, it was.
It's gonna be a long next 2 months if they make it that far.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. So Valerie's agreeing with you, JD. She goes, "Thanks for confirming that about the loud fans at Gillette Stadium." While watching, I thought they can't even have the right that they can't be the right for the Philadelphia Union fan base being too loud. Well, like I said, that's part of what we do here with Philadelphia sports. We travel well, we fight well, we hang out. Again, we travel, like I said, the most passionate fan base, and they're going to need all the Philadelphia fans down there today. If you're just a casual fan checking out the Philadelphia Union, I suggest you go down there today. Give them a chance. Go support your team. Go support the guys in blue and gold, because they're going to need it. They're going to need all your support because we need a win here. We need a win, and like I said, I don't know how far this team could go as far as this playoff run. But if they can, like I said, take game one, take game by game, I think they should be okay. Especially, like I said, getting slapped in the mouth, they should be able to respond and punch back. That's the kind of team I want to see today. So, but if you guys need any kind of speaking of punching back, here goes our man David R. Terry Esquire. Worker compensation, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, criminal law. Hit up my man David R. Terry Esquire at 610-565-0300 and get on the jingle with him today, and he'll take care of all your rights. So back to more of some of the Philadelphia Union chat, guys. We are coming down. This has been too much fun. This has been great. I got to know from you guys, what's your prediction other than pain? What's your prediction for a Philadelphia Union win, loss? How do you guys feel? What's your gut feeling feel like?
JD, you want to kick this one off since you're the hype man here today? So I
yes.
want to hear what you got to say.
We're raining over here, JD, and you're going with the weather of 80 degrees.
I'm thinking 3-1 today.
Oh,
wow, I like it. I like a 3-1 win. The Philadelphia Union over New England. How you feeling, Alston?
Honestly, that's exactly where my head had went, was 3-1.
Really?
Yeah. The expected goals against for New England is dang near 2. So I feel like we push a little bit over that and really just put the pressure on them right after this. Even with the break, they have to spend a lot of time thinking about where they went wrong, and they can end up overthinking and put themselves in a deeper hole for game 2.
Wow, Mike, you got to be the icing on the cake. What are you feeling?
I thought 2-1 on Monday. That's what I said. And I said it's probably going to be 1-0. New England's going to come back and tie the game, and the Union will have to find a way, hopefully, I guess, through Chris Donovan or something in the late minutes to help win this match. So I think 2-1. I do think you pull it off. How confident I am that you pull it off, that's a different story. But I think 2-1 is doable for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking a another 2-1 win this time for the Philadelphia Union. I predicted this last week a 2-1 win, but however it was a 2-1 win the opposite way. So, like I said, I'm just trying to feel positive, just trying to feel optimistic about this team going forward. But I really need to see this team get on the scoreboard for it first. And I don't know how they're going to do it. Like you said, Mike, just like you said, I need to see Dalen Kazak just being more involved. I get it. Like a lot of defenses plan on shutting him down because if you take him or Carranza away, they don't have a right hook to go with it. So that's the only kind of thing that scares me is that we look at, and I forget who asked the last time I was in the press conference, but they asked, is Uwe a little overpaid? And that was like one of the hard questions that Jim had to answer. But this is where he can make his money. He needs to make his money today. I need to see. I need to see him find the back of net, like you said. Maybe a Chris Donovan, maybe a Colossus, goal, whatever, off his head. Something needs to give here for this Philadelphia Union team. They just need to win today. I don't know how, but that's the part that scares me. So, Mike, what else can we expect though from this Philadelphia Union team? Who do you think can get on the scoreboard first?
From the Union, I would say you got to hope that Carranza, if he can get going in the playoffs, you have a lot of faith moving forward. I would love to see Quinn. This isn't even just from a scoring standpoint, just from a playing standpoint. I want to see Quinn involved as a sub each match because when we saw him come in for Nashville at Nashville, he had a pretty solid game. He had the nice assist to Brujo back home. I think the next game afterwards, he had the goal against was Charlotte, a little bit too. So he's had production when he's had opportunities. He just feels like a spark off the bench. Now, and he's also the perfect spot for Bedoya. You put him on the right side of the diamond. That's where he's better.
Yes.
He's off that diamond side. So I hope Carranza gets on the board, but I do hope that Quinn can come in because if you're talking about testing the keeper, Quinn's not afraid to shoot. And you hope that that's contagious. You see this kid come in, giving his all, it's going to spread to the other players as well.
Kyle says the first time I've ever heard that JD's been called a hype man. And then he also checks in here. He goes, "Wow, you were talking about being hyped. You were talking about being hyped." I don't know I don't know what he put in his coffee this morning. My man says Union win 10-0. New England loses their bus tickets to Philly and don't even show up. Wow.
This isn't a DC United game from last season.
Yes. Oh my gosh!
Drop a touchdown and the extra point.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty bad. DC Union dropping about 2 touchdowns on them last season. So, let me ask you, Austin, if things get ugly, how much time does Bedoya have on the field before he has to go? Before Jim has to pull the leash?
I don't even know, dude. There's a strong part of me that says that honestly, Curtin may keep him in the full 90.
Really? Give him all that?
He played the full. He's played the full 90 more times than we wanted him to this season already. So, I mean, it's very possible he gets the full 90.
He's also had big stretches where he's been out, so he's been able to go the full 90 a little more down the stretch since he missed about 2 months.
Exactly,
in the middle of the season, so he doesn't have as many miles.
Especially
that injury's almost worked to an advantage of sorts.
Yeah, and especially when you factor in the whole prospect of it's very possible that you need that kind of leadership on the field to be able to rally the guys together to sort of battle back late. Mm-hmm. So having him out there could end up not in terms of actual play, but could end up being something that you may need. So I mean, I would personally I would say 65th, 70th minute, you would make a sub for him regardless of how things are looking because you want to get a fresh set of legs out there. But it's very possible he gets the full look.
Right, JT, what would be your perfect starting lineup if you're Jim Curran going to today's game? What's your lineup looking like? I know CTH checking in again because anyone going to the game today? Thanks, CTH. I'm pretty sure my man Mike will be down there, and thanks, CTH.
We'll be there.
Yes, JT will be down there.
I'll be watching via my phone while at work.
There you go. That's dedication right there.
I'm going to do the same with the Eagles tomorrow.
There you go. But yeah, what would be your perfect lineup for today, and what would be your substitution coming off the bench?
I would go with the 4-4-2. Go back to the diamond, and I'm thinking McGlynn off the bench for
Okay.
Bedoya later in the game if he doesn't go the full. If Bedoya doesn't go the full 90, you bring in Jack for him, especially Jack with the possibility of penalties. I think that having Jack available for penalties would be helpful down the stretch.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I guess we all know about his left leg and how dangerous that could be. Like, I need to see that kid in there. I need to see, like I said, the youth. I like to see Sullivan line up.
Yes.
You got to remember that even though it just turned out to be a draw, but that game against Charlotte, the pairing of Sullivan and Carranza, be a huge for this team.
I like that. I like that pairing, and I think that we'll see that a bit more. Because Ua usually doesn't go a full 90 anymore either. So if he starts bringing Quinn around for Ua around the 60th, 70th minute.
Maybe this is telling, but do you notice that we have not said the word Ty Barrera once in this entire show?
Yes.
Is Ty Barrera even here,
I
or
don't
did he
even know.
get called back to the Israeli military?
I don't know. So that's a great question. That's something that Jose and I had talked about as well. We're like, where is he right now? Not in terms of he's like, we don't know where he's at. Jim didn't mention that he wasn't going to be here. He said the full roster's ready to go. Besides, I know Glesson's is day to day.
Well, he hasn't really been playing much lately, anyway.
And he's not.
But
I mean, he's not contributing either that much either when he is out there.
Right. I mean, he had that 30-second sub in his first appearance.
It was 5 seconds. It was 5 seconds.
They just announced his name. That was it.
Yeah, and but when it comes to with the Israeli military, there was a player that Seton Hall had. I'm a college basketball guy originally as well, and Seton Hall had a player who was from Israel, and they called him back for military service in the middle of the season.
Wow.
So the situation then was not what it is now. So if Ty Barrera disappears from the Union, I would not be surprised.
That's probably why.
Given this situation.
I know I've been a little bit out of the loop just from work this week, but I really haven't heard anything about it. So I wasn't sure if maybe you guys have, because it seems like it's just been hush hush the whole time.
Yeah, right. So, like I said, you were talking about Barrera. It needs to be, like I said, the small sample size that we've gotten from him haven't been that great. We read about him being a striker and all this other stuff. Then there's been, that Charlotte game. He had plenty of time to show something, and it just kind of fit the bill of not doing anything. So, our man Kyle goes, "I'll be down at the game, hoping not to get beaten by a ball." Listen, Kyle, you're preaching to the choir, because I can speak for all four of us. When you're in that press conference and you see Colossus and all of his little kiddies in there, you're guaranteed to get popped by a ball. My first time covering a game, I got popped in the kneecap. So, listen, like I said, you preach to the choir, my man.
I'm pretty sure Blake's kid megged me by accident. Just I was standing there and he just threw the ball between my legs. I was like, wow, I just got done in here. But also with Barrera, one thing that Curtin kind of like used as his, I guess you want to say, excuse is the fact that he was coming off preseason mode basically when he came to the Union, which is why he didn't see a lot of time. Then you have to think how much adjustment there probably is to just this league and the weather and the different fields and all that stuff. So I'm hoping that next year you get Barrera kind of acting like we saw Gazlag last year, where he just kind of erupts on the scene, especially because Carranza is also probably gone too. Another player we haven't talked about his departure, really.
There's some there's some rumors that they'll probably sell him in off season.
Make the most amount of money you can off him, which is another reason why we need to have a good playoff.
There was a Olympiacos in Greece, I believe, in the midseason transfer window. I want to say it was $8 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was between 5 and it was more than 5, less than 10 transfer
I think it was
fee
8. Yeah,
that they so let's say $8 million transfer fee that they offered the Union, and the Union turned it down. Wow. So, but if an offer like that comes up again in the off season, that time I think that they would take that.
Yeah, because that was something that Carranza himself mentioned in the interview that he did with Jose.
Yeah.
And also the adjusting to the weather was a big thing for him too, because he was used to it being warm and then going to Miami and it still being warm there, and then coming up to Philly, and they were like, dude, it gets cold up there, and he was like, nah, it can't be that bad. And then the first day it got cold, he was like, wow, like this, it gets really cold up here.
Well, even from one of our hosts, Dave Miller, he's from England.
Yeah.
So he assumes that we always travel to away matches here because he's just so used to it. In England, it's like a 3-hour, 4-hour drive at the most, and you're on the other. So he's like, oh, you guys aren't going to that New England match. I'm like, no, that's like 6 hours away.
Yes.
It's not close. But even just from a player standpoint, like the travel in this country is not what they're used to.
No.
For most of those players.
No, not at all.
And then the weather, like you said, what was it earlier in the season? We had a game, I think it was Chicago or one game at home, and then we went down to Miami right afterwards.
Yeah.
So imagine playing in like 25, 30-degree weather, and then you go to like 85 humid. It's just,
They had a lot of the Union had a lot of real like gross rainy games earlier this season. Like there was I forget which game. I think it was one of the CONCACAF matches where it was just freezing.
Yeah, there were quite a few where the weather was just not exemplary for being able to play football at all, and it was just really tough for. I mean, me personally, anyway, just trying to keep a mental on like not focusing on that and just focusing on the game. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, God, this sucks. Like this is really bad today.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but listen, guys, we're going to wrap up the show. JD, where can the people find you at? What kind of plug you got going on?
You can find us at StreampunkENT on X, Twitter, whatever you call it these days. StreampunkENT.com, Streampunk Sports, and Streampunk Soccer on YouTube, our YouTube channel.
Okay. And guys, like I said, my man JD, my man Mike will be down at the game. So if you guys are just seeing those guys walking around, please go up, introduce yourselves, take photos, whatever name, kiss babies, all that fun stuff. And also, Mike, we know you're on Cross the Pitch.
Yep.
Can you give all the great plugs for you?
Yeah. So listen, first of all, if you are at the tailgate, you better say hi and have a beer with me. Because if you, Pat, you've seen me at the tailgate. You know, I love it down there. I'm always there having a good time. So please come say hello. I like to meet people.
Yeah.
Like to have
Speaking of tailgates, that was a fantastic interview you did with Rachel Gray from Sons of Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just watched that yesterday.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. So, so we are with the AAT Sports Network. We are across the pitch, the three of us, Dave, Jose, and myself. We go live 8:45 p.m. every Monday night for Across the Pitch. It's usually about an hour episode. We try to make it at least under an hour, although I know sometimes it goes a little longer. And you can find those on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for the stream. Besides that, Jose has done a great job this season with the bilingual side of things. He's really been a nice addition to our team with trying to translate for Julian and Jose and Bueno and all the other players. So, again, check us out, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere you can find us. We're usually always online, which is probably a problem.
Yes. And Austin, how about yourself, buddy?
Do just the usual stuff at Austin_EOP on X. Again, I'm going to promote it again because I've been trying to do some more stuff with it. My Twitch, twitch.tv/Hambo26. I'm a good guy who's bad at games. Sometimes it's a fun thing. Sometimes you just feel bad for me, and I feel bad for me a lot too. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, of course, you guys, you catch me, Pat Bernard, right here, Edge of Philly Sports. Going to be having a busy day. Got Flyers post-game, Sixers post-game. Got a lot going on. And, of course, tomorrow morning here with Mike at PM and the AM. But, guys, first, Mike, JD, thank you so much for coming down here. It's been a pleasure. And, guys, if you haven't seen down here at the bottom of your screen, we do have all the Union and Philadelphia schedule going on. Thanks to my man Olsen for hooking that up. So, but, yeah. Guys,
quick last minute add on to get the playoff schedule on there.
Yeah. Nice touch.
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, for that, we are out of here. All right, let me get out of here.
So I noticed that too. Luckily I have a full